There have been a lot of buffs and nerfs and various mix-ups in the meta. So in Valorant patch 7.12, you need to know exactly what are the best and worst characters that you could be playing or avoiding to dominate in this specific patch. That's why we're going to break down all the big movers and characters that you should keep note of in the meta that are dominating the game. Now, first off, we do got to talk about the Sentinel role, and there are two agents that are dominating right now. One has been established and is still very, very strong, and the other has risen out of nowhere to become one of the best Sentinels in the game. Now, the former is definitely Killjoy, and Killjoy has been meta for a very long time, and that doesn't seem to be changing anytime soon. Fantastic stalling utility, a really powerful round-changing ultimate, and Killjoy is just an agent that provides insane value if you know the right setups and you know how to mix them up. She's also one of our best picks for climbing at a low elo, and we built together a Killjoy course on the SkillCapped website you can check out down below if you want to learn all the perfect setups. Now, the other Sentinel that has been skyrocketing in pick rate is Cypher, and Cypher, after his buffs where his trip gets rearmed, he has become an unstoppable monster, specifically on Breeze and Sunset. There are multiple trip locations that if you do not have a shock dart or some other form of utility, you have to peek out into the trip in order to kill it, and if you die while you're trying, it's going to get reactivated, which means you're just going to die to it over and over and over again, and it's super oppressive on those maps. But also Cypher is just picking up pick rate everywhere. He's become a much more powerful character. His numbers finally start to make sense to a point where he is being picked instead of Killjoy on several maps where before he was completely disregarded. And Cypher is becoming one of the best agents in the game right now, and definitely one that you should keep an eye on. Next up, we do got to talk about the Initiator role, and even though she is recently getting buffed as of 7.12, Skye is still the best all-around initiator. Now, notably, her dog change means that you're not going to be able to clear as many angles as before because its leap is in a very fixed position. You can also hit your teammates with it, so be careful. But that doesn't actually take away enough for Skye to be dethroned as just the most flexible and all-around powerful initiators in the game. Now, I will say that the initiator role is very stacked because there's so many competitive options. None of the characters in the initiator role are necessarily weak. There are just more competitive options, Skye being one of them, where you have to think, should I pick Skye or should I pick this other character, this other initiator? And honestly, most of the time, Skye just wins when you're comparing them into the head-to-head, and that's why she is the best all-around initiator. Now, keep in mind, if you're looking to climb, by far the most important thing is fundamentals. There are players that are consistently able to drop 30 kills in their matches, and with our Aim God Masterclass, it will teach you all the fundamentals you need to do that as well. We're also constantly updating it and applying user feedback so that you can get better, and the website is there to help you do so. We also offer a rank improvement guarantee, so if you don't climb, you don't pay. Check it out right now in the links down below. Now, the next initiator that we got to talk about is Sova, and he's still very strong, especially on maps like Haven and Ascent, and he does see pick rate across the board on a lot of different maps. You will often find Sova seeing at least a little bit of pick rate in pro play on basically every single map in some regard, and in addition to that, he's phenomenal for ranked play as well. Sova hasn't had any major changes as of recently, but he's established himself as one of the best, if not the best, information gathering initiators in the game, and what he does and brings to the table is very unique and powerful, meaning that he picks up a lot of the percentage points or the pick rates for the initiator role. Now, honorable mention to Gekko. With the new buffs as of 7.12, this could make Gekko much more appealing as he was rather weak before, but now with multiple buffs, especially the buff change to his flash being faster, he is starting to gain some ground on the other initiators, where before he just seemed like he was weaker in comparison. Now, one of the problems with Gekko, like a lot of other initiators, no matter how strong they are they stronger than the other strong initiators in the role? And there's a lot of them. I mean, Kayo, Breach, freaking Sova, Fade, Skye, all of these characters are so strong. This role is the most stacked and the most competitive. None of these characters are very weak, but because they have to take up slots and you have to drop one of them for another, it's very, very hard to know if Gekko will see play from here on out. Now, the next role we do got to talk about is the Duelist role. And there are currently 2 Duelists that are dominating right now. The first one is Raze, the best Duelist right now with great entry, the ability to clear angles and trap wires. And when I say great entry, it's really important to understand that I'm talking about the ability for a character to get onto site very quickly and clear close angles while they're still surviving, right? You're getting there very quickly and you can clear those angles very fast, and people don't have the opportunity to kill you while you're flying there very, very quickly. And only 2 Duelists can do that, but it's 100% necessary for them to be a meta Duelist. And the only other one that could do that is Jett. And Jett is fantastic at entering along with Raze and is the best opper, which gives her added bonus points in a different regard. Although she's not as good at clearing utility, which is super important when you're dealing with Killjoys and Cyphers every single game. Now, I do have more duels to talk about in the low elo and ranked superstars section. For specifically meta play, these 2 duelists do something that the other duelists just don't do. They get onto site very, very quickly and they create space while clearing angles, and that's just necessary. Unless a duelist can do this, they will not be able to replicate or replace these 2 duelists in the meta. We would sooner have no duelists being played in the pro meta than these 2 duelists not see play, or duelists that do these things. Now, we've actually analyzed a lot of the top Jetts like Tens, Demon 1, Durka, Aspas, and more, and if you want to learn to play like them, check it out on the SkillCapped website. The next up, we do got to talk about controller. And first off, I do want to talk about a combo of Omen and Astra. Both are very, very strong, and they oftentimes split pick rate across. Omen is a better solo controller, and he's a little bit better at lurking than Astra is, but Astra is very, very solid in a double controller setup, where Omen is hardly played in those double controller setups, at least not nearly to the amount that Astra is. Both these characters are really, really strong. I would say that Omen edges it out, especially for ranked play, but if you're doing a very specific setup with Astra, whether you're doing a double controller setup or you're trying to coordinate and synergize very, very well with a duo or trio, whatever the case may be, Astra can also be very, very strong and definitely deserves a mention. Now, Viper is always going to be the SSS tier for controller, mainly because she's just necessary. She's the only line smoker that can be a solo smoker when Harbor just isn't as consistent. Although there have been some attempts, most of the time he is used in that dual controller setup, and Viper's just so damn powerful with her stalling capability, and her entire kit together just works very, very well and is unique and needed. So she's just one of the best characters in the game for sure. Now, I want to make it clear, though, that in the controller role, similar to the initiator role, there is a ton of variety. There's a lot of controllers that see play. We're seeing pick rate from Harbor. We're seeing pick rate from Brimstone. We're seeing these characters see play. They're not played as much because they're not as flexible as the other 2, especially Omen and Viper that we mentioned, but they are seeing substantial play. Although when they get played, typically is tied into certain maps in particular. Now, the next category we do got to talk about is low elo. Anything underneath the Ascendant rank, we're talking about you in particular, and these are the characters that are going to get you up to that Diamond Ascendant as quickly as possible. First off, let's talk about Brimstone. A very easy to play character with a low skill floor, and also has some of the highest win rates in the game. And Brimstone is just phenomenal because he can stall very, very well. You're never going to mess up a smoke, and you're going to be able to focus on your gunplay and your strategy because you're not as worried about your execution of your abilities. Now, Brimstone's actually a super sleeper and can be insanely powerful, especially if you learn the lineups, and we have all of the best ones in a really nice handy guide on the SkillCapped website that you can check out as well down below. Now, the other low elo character we're going to talk about is Sage, where Sage on paper doesn't see a lot of meta play, doesn't look very good when you're looking at her. There's other Sentinels that you would rather play, but when we look at her win rate, she has one of the highest win rates in the game, and she basically is dominant, especially in low elo. And one of the best reasons for this is she's one of the best stallers in the game, especially at stopping rushes, which is one of the most common strategies in low elo, where people want to rush over and over and over again, and Sage can just deny that. Wall, slow, all of a sudden they either have completely telegraphed their rush, and you and your team can shut that down, or they rotate off, where if you force them to rotate off, that's already a win. Like, that should be in your mind, where it's like, if I can get these people to leave, then I'm doing good. I'm doing amazing. And that is typically where they're going to mess up. They're going to die. They're not going to have great execute. Someone's going to lurk and linger and die late. And it's oftentimes they've used a lot of their utility to just try to get there, and you denied it and traded it, which is favoring you. So Sage is really, really strong. definitely a character that is fantastic if you want to climb at a low elo, because she's always going to bring some amount of value to any team composition. Now, Reyna, similar to Brimstone, she doesn't have to worry about much besides trying to hit her shots. Yes, you have flashes and you have utility that you use after you get a kill, but it's pretty simple. Kill someone, fade away, kill someone, heal, go fight someone else. It's not rocket science. Reyna is very, very simple. It's pretty much not needed for you to just kind of theory craft or strategize or anything like that. You're taking engagements, you're fighting, you're killing people, and you're climbing. And that's as simple as it gets. And Reyna pretty much is a fantastic character. If your mechanical skill is really, really good, you can easily climb at a low elo with Reyna. Now, the last category we got to talk about are ranked superstars. And these are characters that are super, super strong in ranked play. And even though they don't see a lot of meta play, you should not sleep on these characters, because for ranked play, they can be absolutely dominant. First off is Phoenix, the most flexible duelist in the game, and has one of the highest win rates to prove it, especially as you start to climb to Immortal and Radiant, some of the highest win rates, period. Now, Phoenix is just really great at filling in the gaps of your team. He doesn't rely really that much on anybody. You can clear coverage, you can flash ops off angles, you can smoke yourself onto site, and you can just pop off and gather info with your ultimate. All of it kind of chains together to create a character that gives you everything you need to carry, even if you have bad teammates. And I would say that if you have like the worst teammate on the planet and you need one character that can give you everything you need to deadlift them and hard carry them to a victory, Phoenix would be your best bet. And you know how ranked is. You're going to get those bad teammates, so maybe you need Phoenix to help you carry them. Now, next up, we do got to talk about Yoru. And Yoru has a very high ceiling with high potential impact. In fact, as you start to climb, his win rate starts to rise, and when you get to the highest ranks of play, then Yoru is truly dominant. But realize that until you're there, Yoru is pretty bad. He has a pretty low win rate, and this is because as your skill increases, your impact with Yoru dramatically increases, exponentially increases, and that means that if you get good on your journey of getting good at Yoru, you can become a ranked superstar, but until you get there, you're going to struggle. So it's up to you whether or not you want to take that challenge, but if you do, you could become an absolute demon in ranked. Now, the last character that I want to talk about is Chamber, and I think a lot of people have written off Chamber, especially because he's nowhere near as strong as he used to be, but especially for ranked play, Chamber can cut off rotations, kill people, and get out very, very easily. In a lot of ways, he can carry in a very similar way that he used to carry. You can shoot people in the head with your pistol. You can freaking op people for free. Chamber is still an absolute menace in ranked play, and he's underpicked compared to how good he is, mainly because I think everyone is just really thinking about him like old Chamber. Yes, he's weaker than old Chamber, but when you're weaker than the best agent of all time, then you're fine. You're still just fine, especially for ranked play. So he makes my ranked superstar list. Now, let us know down below, what is the most underrated agent in the game right now, and are there any buffs or nerfs that you would like implemented in patch 7.13? Thank you, and we'll see you next time.